poppin'? What's poppin'? We finally heard from Smoking Joe. I'm Cheddar Chaz. That's Ross. That's Cool Mo D. I go to work. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Wait, hold up. What am I? I'm tripping. It's been a minute. My bad.
First took away. That's the best. Get your money's worth now.
Had the summer off. You know what I'm saying? Got the class and forgot everything. Showed up with a notebook and a pen. But what's happening, fellas? How everybody doing?
What's good with it?
Yeah,
You know me.
Hey, man. Like Justin was what's happening? Shout out to
Welcome.
shout out to Theo's, shout out to Chris Smith Holmes, shout out to John Deere. No one runs like a deer. Check out Ross's Snapback. Shout out to Sunshine, shout out to 4D Energy, Standard Mortgage. Scott Vicknair, if you've been hurt, holler at him. Any personal injuries, I'm gonna give him a call this week myself. I fell through a roof. So Scott, be speaking of the devil, look at that. Justin Knapp in the house. We got Jay Knapp in the house. No, I got me a little blue moon in this cup. It keeps the blue moon cold. So make sure you check them out. Ross got
what's perfect is a blue moon in the Theo's cup.
Oh yeah.
That's real.
Make
That's
sure y'all holler at Theo's.
I need a Theo's cup, dog.
Yeah, you know what? The Theo's,
that's a pro tip. That's
probably not even a reusable cup Ross got. He probably just kept that bitch. That's probably just
I got a whole sleeve of them.
God damn.
We walked in. I said, I got to get a sleeve.
Ross just walked in the manager's closet and shit. Just take a whole garbage bag of cups. They were like, well,
I ain't never been afraid to make myself at home somewhere.
Oh, yeah. That's how you got to do it. Yeah. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Be sure to hit the like button, share the live. This is, we got a lot to get into today. The HNIC has spoken. Yeah. So, and we also heard a little bit from Gayle. So we're not going to waste no time. We're going to get right into it. First, before we start playing these clips, just based on the headline, are you gentlemen surprised that they've come out and responded so quickly to the rumors that the organization may be done with Zion? Because we've been hearing some things pretty matter-of-factly from some Discord people, and you got to take that with an ocean of salt. So what do you guys think? Are you surprised?
I think when the whole thing got announced, I was maybe a little surprised. I won't say I was surprised, but it felt like that this was definitely like the fork in the road, right? Like because we had heard, it had been somewhat reported that Joe was given a mandate of keep Willie, find a way to get rid of Zion when he took the job. Whether that was true or not, I don't know, but that was just, what we had heard. And I thought if that was the mandate, well, here's your sort of out right away. If you really wanted to say, we don't even want to mess with it. I thought the fact that they came out so strongly, like at multiple levels, sort of reinforces that whole thing of, look, they said Zion to the draft. I think it's now like, it does feel a bit like a coordinated effort from top to bottom of the organization of like, hey, look, let's give this a shot and make him the centerpiece and go from there. So look, I think from that perspective, you almost have to be optimistic. This feels like the first time everybody's been on the same page in this organization for, I don't know, a decade.
Yeah, you know what they say, a team that lies together tries together. So Lito, what do you think about some of the things you've heard? Team that lies together, try together, If
you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Hey,
that's definitely true.
Rest in peace, Eddie Guerrero. So we're gonna get into the madam of the brothel, Gayle herself. And we're going to hear from her, not getting into any type of legal discussions, but just basically giving her opinion on how litigations work and things of that nature, but not touching on this issue specifically.
Comment on the lawsuit against Zion Williamson.
Lawsuits are lawsuits. You really can't. You don't know. People can sue you for anything. There's no reason you can be innocent or not. So it's just something that people do, unfortunately.
Okay, now that was Madam Gayle. So we're gonna move forward to
I respected that. I respected that because it felt like something I might have said in a previous life, like to get out of something. Like,
right.
People can lie on you all the time. Like to defend yourself.
Right.
Like, this person's out there.
Who hasn't been
that person? Yeah, they're lying. I mean, the hell, you could just say anything these days. The shit might be true,
Right.
but I'm like, you got to protect yourself. I appreciate it. That showed Gayle might have more street than I give her credit for.
Well, we got 5 in the building.
What up, 5?
What's popping, y'all?
For me, more than anything, it made me feel poor. I was like, damn, motherfuckers ain't just frivolously suing me or just like, oh God, now I gotta, I bumped into this guy's car and I'm gonna sue me. I don't have them problems. Like, so, hey, but we're gonna get into Crazy Joe, aka Batman. We're gonna get into some of his talking points. Some of us are hearing these for the first time, so you'll be getting our genuine reaction.
You know what? My conversations with him have been
I probably should preface this a little bit. This is with Fletcher Mack or WDSU, as well as Madeline, I believe, Madeline Adams. Shout out to her, shout out to Fletcher. And they're having a one-on-one sit-down with Joe Dumars. It'll be showing in its entirety on Sunday.
You know what? My conversations with him have been about the responsibility of being a great player for a team, being one of the faces for a team. I've talked to him extensively about that responsibility and being accountable for that. Quite frankly, what I said to him too, I said, you got to own all of this. You can't just own the good parts. You have to own the responsibility parts, and you have to be accountable for yourself and everybody else. So there's been some very, very direct, good conversations. Nothing bad, but just very direct, to the point. This is how you have to do this. This is how you do this, and that's what I was talking to you about before. Haven't done this before. Like, I'm not guessing on what this should look like, And so we've had some really great conversations.
5, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on Crazy Joe's initial comments when asked?
It makes sense now. It all makes sense. It all seems like this was like a plan. I can call him Crazy Joe, maybe like Uncle Joe. That's what it feels like. Like your uncle that's been around, that knows people in certain places. He see you kind of wilding out. He gonna pull you off to the side like, hey, bro, let's move like this. Like, I get it. Young dude, you got money in your pocket. You're making moves. You experimenting, whatever. Let me pull you off to the side. Let me show you how this thing go, because it seems like you don't understand the gravity or the magnitude of what's happening around you and the people you influence and the people you impact. Let me show you. Let me explain it to you. I think he's giving him real game. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's like being up front. And I think that's what Zion needed. I think that's something that Stan Van Gundy was really good at. He was telling them to his face how he felt. And Zion can respect it. And I think that's something even Zion's stepdad is of the same ilk. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to hear right now. And it's not going to be, I'm going to tell you this and then run behind your back and tell you something different. No, it's the same thing the entire time. And I think this is something Zion truly needs.
Yeah, I absolutely think he needs a serious intervention. Also, speaking of which, this is totally unrelated, and we'll get into, well, it's not so much. We'll get into coaches that should be fired later on, but I was doing some research, and do you guys know Willie Green is the only coach to survive Josh Hart's reign of terror? He got Stan Van Gundy fired. He got, Terry Stotts fired. Now, the great Thibodeau. And Tibbs, I think Tibbs 67, that's elder abuse. They can do something about Josh Hart. Leo, what do you think about Joe's response to the line of questioning? One thing that stood out to me is that he didn't have his arms folded. So he seemed pretty confident in his lie, or in his. That could just be how he felt. He seemed pretty confident in his messaging.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm with. This is not what you asked me, but I'm with Russ when they talk about like just being uniform for once in our lifetime as being a fan. Like, it's cool to see. Like, look, man, there's a great man. There's a great man on the show called The Wire, man. And Slim Charles said, if y'all not familiar with his work, Slim Charles said, man, even if it's a lie, we fight on that lie.
Got on that lie.
So I'm down for that, bro. Like he said he talked to Zion multiple times, and he basically was like, I kept it real with him. And Joe played back. If I just gotta like put my own narrative on it. Joe played basketball in the 80s. Joe done seen a lot of things, bro.
Way worse.
He done seen a lot of things.
There actually is a clip where he compared him to someone who I was like, off the court, I see it. I'm gonna save that clip for later, but he compared him to someone. But go ahead, Lito, my bad.
Nah, but like, it's kind of refreshing to see that, it seems like Zion actually respects this guy rather than, the previous regime when he was just running around like he was Tupac.
Mm.
And let me say this, as far as like Gayle's comments, first of all, everybody getting sued is crazy. Like lawsuits are lawsuits. That's an amount of money that I have no idea what that feels like. Like I'm with you, Chaz. I don't know what it feels like to get sued.
Yeah.
But I will say how aggressive the Pelicans have been in their handling of the situation, from Gayle's comments to Joe giving this interview with Fletcher today. It's something that it makes you feel like they were aware of the situation and they have some information as far as the situation, because this doesn't happen. You don't get a guy doing an interview with a news person and then push the narrative like, no, this man is still a face of our franchise amidst all the other allegations that's happening.
Mm-hmm. Ross?
Yeah, I totally agree. They surely must have known about this ahead of time, because it seems like they've been aggressively sort of and professionally pushing back, I think. But look, I'm with you, Chaz. And Lito, I'm okay. I don't particularly think they're lying here. I think Joe could be perfectly telling the truth. I think he could have had these conversations with Zion. I think they could have gone exactly how he said. But to your point, even if it's a lie, I'm cool. I'm cool with that as long as you're all in lockstep on the lie, right? Like this was the issue with the previous regime is you had David Griffin saying some like these really odd, awkward phrases that no one really understood, and that kind of made people uncomfortable. And then you had Willie who would say nothing and act like I don't even know what's going on. And then Gayle not involved at all, right? And then you'd hear one thing from the player. It was just a mixed bag of like, you never knew what you were going to get. I like that it feels like there's some alignment on this of like, no, Zion is the face of this team. We are going to support Zion. This is a whole, this whole thing is a pile of junk. Whatever, whether that's true or not, I don't care. But I do appreciate that it seems like there's a coordinated effort to get in front of this and to support the guy that you, I guess, believe is your star player. Like, I'm cool with that.
Also for myself, I think, shout out to Michael McNamara, he's in the chat. He had an excellent point. We say there's several people who've tried to, reach, quote unquote, reach Zion, right? And my perspective on that has been, only people can reach you is really people you respect. And if you were a young, rich knucklehead motherfucker in a weird market or small market that's not that desirable, that's why I've said this whole time. Now, personally, I don't know what's gonna happen, because to me, when you deal with people like that who just grossly irresponsible, they figure it out when they figure it out, and they may never figure it out. But one thing I will say is, if you got to know who you're dealing with. Like if I'm gonna keep it real, man. So I ain't listen to no motherfucking Teresa Witherspoon, no Swing Cash. Like, let's be serious here. Zion ain't listening to CJ. Like, it gotta be some, like, if you seen one person, him respond to one person, and that's Stan Van Gundy, and he responded on the court. Off the court, he was still like over. He was still too heavy. Still had a bunch of shit going on. Yeah, it was the COVID year and all that, but still, in my opinion, I feel like, again, you got to know who you're dealing with, and everybody's not meant to be the person to give you that message. And there's a lot of people on this team that don't listen to people. He just the one you got the biggest expectation of. So it looks and appears a lot worse when he doesn't, because everything's riding on him, boss. But I also think I don't really care what hasn't worked before. It's either gonna work now. This is the last year for it anyway. So either way, you're gonna be done with it. Either it's gonna work or it ain't gonna work. You're gonna be done with it anyway. So I ain't really got too much energy to give it necessarily. I'm just waiting to see the results. So here's another clip. Bear with me, guys.
Wait, Chaz, before you play the clip, I mean, I ain't gonna say nobody's name, but I mean, I've had conversations with people who no longer play for the team, and they've told you they have had these conversations with Zion. Like they have talked to him about everything that's happening, like, the women, the weight, the food, and you know what I'm saying? Like, he just, like you said, nobody in the locker room had enough cachet for him to really give a fuck for real. Nobody in the locker room really had enough clout for him to just be like, nah, you right. But they've brought veterans in. Like, I'm not gonna say no names. Y'all can put the pieces together. They've brought veterans in. They've traded for guys, and guys have come and gone, and they've had these conversations with the boy.
I ain't gonna lie. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, bro, I think it's a little bit of that, Lito, where right place, right person, right time, that kind of thing, right? Like, you going through it, it's hard to listen to somebody else.
That's true.
What I mean? Your daddy could tell you something at 18, but you don't really understand. He could say the same thing at 24. It's gonna be different. Yep. Like, you kind of gone through it. Like, it's gonna resonate a little bit differently, when you do that. So I'm not saying that like he hasn't heard these things or just not. It just at some point, like, it's just you're not ready to soak it up. Pause. Like, you're not there to really digest those words or the impact of what was going on. It might take somebody like Joe. Joe might just be happening. It might just be happening at the right time for him. That remains to be seen. But yeah, Ross.
You just kind of in relation to what I think you guys are saying, and in this comment, I actually totally disagree with the comment, because I don't think I think what Zion has had here has been attempted babysitters, and I think what he needs is a disciplinary, a father figure. Not on some like, oh, we're gonna pamper you and hide all of the bad things that you're doing, and then kind of coddle you and stuff. Like, that's what a babysitter does to me. What he needs is someone older than him. Like, you see this in locker room. You see this in college locker rooms. Like, there are some people that just aren't going to be told anything by a peer. And if you're in the same league I'm in as a player, you're a peer. You may be better than me. You may be older than me. You may be more. I don't care. You might have more money than me. You aren't going to tell me, and you're not going to like impart some fatherly wisdom on me. There are just people that think that way, for better or for worse. Zion may be one of those guys. So yeah, CJ's a respectable human being with a lot of experience, family man. Like, I get all that stuff. Zion don't care. Like, that just ain't what's good. That's not going to move him. Like, what he might need is someone like Stan Van Gundy, someone like Joe Dumars that will confront you, that will be honest with you, that will look you in the eye and tell you when hey man, you about to mess this whole thing up. That's what he needs. Clearly, we've seen 6 years of the opposite of that for the most part, and it's failed. So, like, I mean, I don't mind this approach. Again, Chaz, you said it earlier. Like, what you were doing wasn't working, and so this is the last straw. Let's give this a shot.
And not only that, it's like, truthfully, you ain't really wanted to work with him. Like, all these, like, honestly, this is being real. First of all, I don't know who Lito might have been, referring to, but if it was Larry, boy, you don't get the fuck.
It was definitely Larry.
Yeah, look, Larry called Trey Murphy Murph. I'm like, this is going nowhere. Once I heard that, I was like, this is going nowhere. Like, look, the team was made for Brandon, right? Brandon was the de facto leader, right? Everything was catered toward Brandon, be it the Stan Van Gundy thing, like even Josh Hart. You got Josh Hart calling the shots. That's just what it was. Like, Zion, and a lot of that could be due to his irresponsibility off the court. It just wasn't catered to him. Like, he wasn't calling no shots. Everybody, look, if Zion would have been healthy this whole time, Zion probably gone. to be honest. He's probably already out of here. Like, just keeping it a cool dollar. And also, it's like, I mean, to be honest, what you really think you're gonna do? Like, to me, that's the thing that gets me. That's the thing that gets me. It ain't like you got all these bad bitches lined up outside and you got this bevy of options. Do you want anybody in the arena next season? It's gonna be, I'm talking about, it ain't gonna be a can of who hash in that bitch next season. You ain't got nobody in this bitch that's moving no units, moving no tickets.
Pimp juicing up.
Like, and that's the thing, bro. Like, because I totally get the exhaustion of it. Because to me, I try to be as like cold-blooded with the shit as possible. And I'm being real, the biggest issue has been his availability on the court.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you see with some, shout out to Ant-Man doing this thing. See what's up with Ja, all that shit. Keep it real. Ant had a bunch of shit went on this last few off seasons. He stays on the court. So motherfucker stay on the court. You like, oh, well, I don't know. It's his business. I don't know what's happening. They play tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? But with Son, since he rarely plays, everything's magnified because you ain't even holding up your end of the bargain. How can I defend you when you ain't even showing up to work? See, you can deal with like Lito brought Pac. Yeah, Pac, he'll go in the studio, do 3 songs a day, but he also might stump a motherfucker out in Vegas. And now you got to deal with that. You got to deal with the repercussions. But see, he show up to the studio, he show up to work. But then you got people don't even show up to work. And now you left to deal with those consequences. And they're not even giving you what you're paying for because you're paying him millions of dollars to play basketball. He can't do that right now at this stage. But yo, we got a special guest for you guys. We got really the man in the hour who got the quote that set this entire day off. We got Rod Walker in the building. Rod, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. Thank y'all for having me on.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you.
I'm on here with Five and Lito, man. I know I'm.
Go ahead, man.
Rod,
Go ahead, man.
Hey, y'all be careful, man. If you out in the streets, man, you might see Rod. You might not. Dude, like a ghost, man.
Hey, man, you're telling my business now, man.
Like, let's keep some of that on the low, brother.
Y'all see me good, man? Or was it blurry?
Nah, you good, brother. We can see you. We can see you.
Right.
So, Rod, you pretty much got the quote that provided, I guess, the clarity for the day. Of course, given recent news, there's been a lot of chatter going around. It's really for several off seasons now. It's just been louder recently. So,
Right.
Rod, can you tell us about your experience speaking with Joe Dumars and I guess how transparent he was with your line of questioning concerning recent events with Zion and the team moving forward?
Yeah, man, that was like the most impressive part about it for me it was my first time talking to him one-on-one. I had talked to him obviously at the introductory press conference, but yeah, he's like, nothing against Griff. I mean, Griff was Griff, but
It was Griff.
yeah, but yeah, man, Joe's like really kind of straightforward, and you feel like when you're talking to him that what he's telling you is like genuine and authentic. Like he's just being himself. Like with Griff, you kind of felt like he was kind of having to read between the lines sometimes, or getting stuff like you feel like you're talking to a salesman sometimes. I guess like he's trying to sell your narrative, but
right. Oh, Rod! Damn, they got the ride.
Joe, man, he just kind of, he's kind of.
Rod, can you hear us?
Oh,
all right. You have.
Oh, you good? You good?
Okay. Yeah. So with Joe, I mean, he's just straightforward, man. He just kind of, I asked him about Zion, and he just that's kind of what he came out and said. And that was a quote that he had. I didn't have it in the story originally, but I did go back and add it in after I went back and listened to the entire interview. And because I asked him specifically, I was like, okay, you're saying this stuff, how you've talked to him. Do you think you've convinced Zion that? I mean, do you think, that the message got through? And he said, Joe basically said, I wish I had written it down, but he said, the only thing I'm convinced of is that we had a deep conversation and time will tell. So, I mean, I think he knows there's some risk involved with this. He might,
absolutely.
Who knows if, I mean, I think he really does believe that Zion is kind of bought in now. And I think Joe probably connects with Zion a little bit better than Griff did. I just think, I mean, Joe's what, 62 years old, just close to Zion's stepfather's age. So I mean, I just think he's more relatable to Zion, and I think And that's why I tweeted today. I said I think that this might be the guy that can get Zion to reach his potential. I could be dead wrong. I could be on old takes exposed. 3 months, but I just feel like, you know, I think Zion's gonna listen to Joe, man. I think that's somebody he respects, and you know, Zion's been a student of the game. He's always talking about players from back in the day that were, you know, played before he was even born. So I just think he can relate to him better.
Right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lito.
No, I was gonna say Zion is about 62 years old himself. When you look at the music he's putting on his Instagram, like it's like he just looking in the mirror. Let me ask you this, Rod. But aside from the straightforwardness of Joe, do you think the fact that he played in the league is something that Zion respects more than he had in his relationship with Griff?
I think that definitely helps, man. I think Joe can tell him some things that Griff couldn't tell him. I mean, that's just the nature of it, man. I mean, he's been around a long time, and I mean, obviously Zion's stepdad knows who Joe is. So, I mean, I think there's definitely a connection there with the two that's better. And I think Zion's going to. I think we're going to see the benefits of it this year. Finally, I mean, it's really a shame that Zion's played 6 years, and he really shouldn't even need nobody to tell him.
Right
at this point, I mean, you know, we've been saying it for the last. I know I have. I've been kind of on the Zion train and kind of riding with him. Like, okay, he's gonna figure it out. He's gonna figure it out. This is the year the light's gonna come on, and you know, and it really hadn't come on yet. So here I am again saying the same thing. So I think, you know, I just think this is gonna help for him.
Five, you had a question?
Yeah. Just a switch. I don't know, Chad, you might have had this in your notes. Just a switch. I think you had like one of the better quotes is actually you broke the news that Willie Green is staying with the Pelicans. Like, how did that conversation kind of happen? Like, I mean, because we hadn't heard anything from the team. No one let anything out. So, like, what was that conversation like with Joe?
And that was actually one of the first questions. I asked him about Willie before Zion, but I think with Willie, for me, I just figured, I mean, Joe's been here 7 weeks now. I figured we hadn't heard anything by now. If you hadn't fired him by now, I just figured he was going to probably be the guy anyway. So, but I asked him, I was like, okay, I'm making the assumption that Willie's your guy. He's like, yeah. So then I asked him, because at the introductory press conference, Joe said that he wanted to talk to people in the building. So I just kind of asked him what were those conversations like, and I think I had the quote in there about, you know, he talked to people and yeah, I mean that was it. I mean he had talked to some people, and you know he did admit that, you know, he said he was far away, so he didn't really get to assess Willie, and so he didn't have the assessment that some of us have. And, right. So I mean, he's gonna run it back with him, and I was one of the ones I know it's a lot of Willie haters on the screen. I'm just looking back at me, but you know, I think you look at Willie. You know, you look at that 49-win season, and you look at last season. I think if Willie didn't have all the injuries, I mean, we might be having a different discussion now. But I think just dealing with so many injuries, and I don't know if Gayle was like, yeah, we need to keep him around. I don't know. Like, I don't know what those conversations were like. He didn't go into specifics on that, but yeah, that was part of, I guess that was kind of some breaking news too. I kind of buried it at the bottom of the story, but for me, I just kind of feel like Willie was the guy anyway, just because he's been here he's been here for these last 7 weeks. So I figured if he hadn't fired him yet, he's not gonna fire him.
Ross, did you have I'm sorry, Five.
Yeah, I guess just in talking about those two specifically, Willie and Zion, and in y'all's conversation, did you, like, who would you say he has a higher level of confidence in? I know you didn't ask him that directly, but just in y'all's conversation, like, you know, whose leash is shorter might be a better question based off of, you know.
No, that's a good question. That's a great question. I don't know if I got a sense of whose leash short. I think their leash is probably about the same, actually.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
We might be able to. There's probably more to take away as they kind of get into training camp and you hear some more stuff. You know, as they kind of interview more, maybe things. There's a little more clarity that can come from that.
Yeah. Now, of course, this is just my interpretation of the quote. I felt like he gave himself a lot of outs with Willie Green in his quote. He was like, "Well, I wasn't here. I don't know." Like, Joe, come on, like Joe, come on, brother. Like, don't do that. But he gave himself, you know, like, well, you know, I'm setting a bar, and I want to evaluate it myself. It's tough to see when you're not in the building. You know, I talked to some people because realistically, I'm trying to figure out what would he realistically say. Like,
right.
Like, what's he going to say? Like, oh, well, you know, this guy, like, he's not going to throw him under the bus. He wouldn't even do that if he had intentions on moving on from him. But I do believe the quote that he gave you was, he gave himself some wiggle room, because he could easily say, well, I told you I was going to evaluate it. I've evaluated it. It is or it isn't working out.
Yeah. He could have done that. To be fair, though, I think when he said he couldn't evaluate him, I think it is probably a little fair to say. I mean, he's in the league office. He's probably not
right.
The chance of him
not watching every game, especially not the Pelicans.
He probably ain't watching no Pelicans. He probably didn't watch a single Pelicans game. So, I mean, I think it would be hard for him to evaluate when you look at it. So, I mean, I think he talked to people, and I don't know who those. I don't know what those conversations were like with the people he talked to. But he did say, one of the things he did say is that when he talked to people, he didn't just talk to one person. He talked to different people. He wanted to make sure that everything that he was hearing kind of, lined up, because, sometimes you hear one thing here and there, you have to kind of figure out which is the truth. So I think he heard enough to keep him around. And I don't know what the players said, or, what their thoughts were, or how transparent they were. Sometimes players are, they want to stick around too. So they're not, you might be afraid to throw the coach under the bus if you don't like him. So I don't know what those conversations were like.
I had another question I wanted to ask. I'm sure the rest of the panel might probably has the same question rather. Where do you believe the disconnect was with Zion and prior management and prior coaches? Because we kind of saw the hard-nosed disciplinarian type coach in Stan Van Gundy get the most, quote unquote, out of Zion. I mean, we were talking about Zion as an MVP candidate. I believe he played the most games he's played in his career at that point. But what do you think the disconnect was with the Willie Green regime and the upper management regime with David Griffin?
Yeah, I think with Griff, man, I think that was his guy. That was the first guy he drafted. And I think sometimes, I guess before I moved here, man, I tutored in some little kids once at a school. I was just going into this tutoring, and I was a good teacher, but I was terrible with my classroom discipline from day one, and I could never win it back. And I don't know if that's what happened with Griff or not, man. But I just think, something happened, and he just couldn't reel him in, man. But again, I don't think you should have to reel a grown man in, man. I just think, nobody had to reel LeBron in. I know everybody's not LeBron, but some guys just have it and they just know what they want to do and they just focus. And I don't know if Zion, when we talk to him, he says he has that focus, but we just have not seen it yet, like we want to see it.
Right, that was a great analogy. The discipline in classroom. It's funny because it's really not a question, but more of a statement. But somebody in the chat literally echoed that. They said that Zion should not need a babysitter at this age. And I guess to follow up to the first question I asked you about the difference between Griff and Joe, maybe Zion does see Griff as more of a disciplinarian than Griff was to him. Obviously, there was no discipline there.
Yeah, I just think it's a different level of respect, man. And when you respect somebody, you don't want to disappoint them. You want to make sure you don't let them down. And I think in those conversations, I think he must have convinced Joe that, that he's not going to let him down. And I think it did mean something to Zion that Joe sent him to the lottery. And, that was something I asked Joe about, like, was there a message there? And he said, yeah, he did that for a reason. He wants Zion to kind of take that responsibility. And maybe if you give Zion a little bit more responsibility, he'll take hold of it and take advantage of it and say, okay, it's my time to step up. But I mean, obviously he hadn't been the leader of the team. I mean, I don't think you don't ever hear guys saying, yeah, Zion talked to us and, we got to tighten up. I mean, because he hadn't been that guy, but maybe the light's about to come on for him.
Chaz, before you ask the question, can I just follow up? My bad, Five.
No, go ahead.
I just kind of wanted to follow up on that. Like, why? To me, sending your best player to the draft seems like such a small deal in the grand scheme of things. Like, it doesn't seem like something that it would take a genius to think about doing. Why do you feel like A, they didn't do it, and B, why do you feel like Zion does not have a sense of responsibility for the team?
Why they didn't do it? I think they didn't trust him, and which is they just didn't trust him. They didn't think he could handle it. It's not. I'm saying handle it like it's a hard job. All you're doing is going to Chicago and sitting down and smiling when they introduce you. I mean, that's all you got to do. But I don't know, man. They didn't do it. And what was the second part of that?
Zion's, I guess, lack of feeling
like,
responsible for the team. Like,
I
why do you think that is? Go, I'm sorry.
To me, that's the troubling part of this. And I mean, if we knew the answer to that, Zion wouldn't even be an issue, man. I mean, we wouldn't even be. I wouldn't even be on this podcast right now. It wouldn't have been any doubts that he was going to be back with the team. I mean, he just. I don't know if he's ever had to be that guy. He's just always, I mean, in high school he was always so much better than everybody. In college he was pretty much better than everybody. NBA doesn't really work like that. I mean, you talent alone doesn't get it done in the NBA. And I think once he realized that and realized all the work that goes into it and how he's counted on, I think maybe he'll be that guy that we think he can be. But until that happens,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Fab.
219 people in the chat. You got the big homie Rod Walker from NOLA.com. I wanted to ask this question. When you think about Joe and the difference between him and Griff, do you feel like the organization or the feel around the organization, the people within the organization is different now? Like, do you feel that sense? Like when you talk to people around the group?
Well, to be honest, I hadn't really talked to anybody except Joe, but I mean, I talked to like some of the PR people, and I mean, there's a difference. I think Joe just, again, like he played in the league. I think he just kind of gets it, man. Like he can relate to everybody in that building, and I think that's going to go a long way. Well, I don't know if it's going to go a long, but I think it's going to help this franchise do some better things. And but again, you still got to have talent. So I mean, you got to fix the roster. The roster has holes in it, obviously, and you got to fix that. But Joe, one of the things he talked about today, and I have some more of this online, I guess Friday morning, because I, eventually like transcribed the whole thing. But he talks a lot about building the culture, and I know some people always talk about, but he think that's really important. He don't think talent alone wins. You got to have the right culture, the right people in the building. You got to have people that want to be here. One of the things we talked about was just being in a small market, and he doesn't think being in a small market is a big deal. He thinks if you build the right culture, it doesn't matter how big the market is. And so that's kind of what his focus is. He wants people to come in every day and want to be there and want to work while they're there. He's going to treat he talked a lot about just being a first class organization and how they treat players, how they treat the players' families. Like he wants to do all those things that, when it comes to free agency, that guys will be like, yeah, I want to go to New Orleans because they know how to treat people.
Ross, you go ahead and I'll just end it. You go ahead, Ross.
No, I was going to say that's an interesting one for me because generally speaking, like you don't necessarily hear teams that want to rebuild their culture by hiring a general manager, right? Like it feels like it's going to be very difficult to change that culture in a meaningful way because if you want to change it, that means you probably think the previous one was pretty bad or at least at a minimum not successful. And you still got a lot of folks that were involved in the previous thing, that previous culture that you're wanting to change here. So that feels like a long putt in the absence of changing out the head coach. I mean, those two things, I guess I struggle to align those two things that you're going to change the coach. You're going to change the culture with mostly the same players and the same coaches. It feels tough to do.
Yeah, well, and I don't know if you really said change the culture. I think he said build a culture, which I guess that's kind of changing the culture. This is it.
Right.
But and one thing he said he didn't want to compare himself to what was done in the past. He just wants to kind of focus on, what they want to do with this group. And so, yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying is fair. I mean, if you don't make a lot of changes, if you're not changing the people, it's kind of hard to change the culture. I guess that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, a little bit. I think so. So I guess, and look, he just got here still, so maybe there are more changes to come. Yeah, maybe that's unfair by me to assume that it's going to be status quo here for a while. It very well may not be.
Yeah, and talking about some of the people, and it's kind of off the subject, but he talked about Troy Weaver a lot. He feels like he brought Troy Weaver in. Bryson's going to continue being the GM, and Troy is the senior vice president of basketball operations. So Joe is the executive vice president. Troy is the senior vice president, and then Bryce is going to remain the GM. But one of the things he talked about with Troy was just that Troy was he kind of helped build this Pistons squad that, some of the key pieces they have on this team that made the playoffs, that was kind of some of Troy's doing. Troy was in OKC when Russ and KD and Harden were there. So he just feels like him and Troy, they never worked together. He thinks they can really, find the pieces they need. And he said his team's going to be a team that plays really well on both ends of the court. That's like his big thing. He wants to be a really good defensive team and a good offensive team. So I think he's going to help define the identity a little bit, because I don't know if we really know what the Pelicans' identity is right now. We haven't. I mean, they just kind of go out there. You don't know. Yeah, you never know what you're going to really get. And I think he wants to kind of make it a little bit more defined, and so you're going to kind of know, like, okay, this is what the Pelicans do. And if you can do that, I mean, that maybe that's a step in the right direction.
Say, Chad, before you end it, one more question. If I'm not mistaken, Rod, I think Joe said something about finding they were comfortable with the number 7 pick because they think they could find talent there. And I'm not trying to give away trade secrets and nothing like that. I just want to know from your perspective. I don't know if you are a big draft guy, but is there a player you think he would pick? Like, do you have anybody in mind?
I mean, I did a little mock draft when they first, dropped down to number 7, and I had the guy from Duke, Kneppel, however you say his name. He was just a guy, but I did ask Joe. One of the things I asked him was he like a best player available guy, or is he going to be more of a, and we need this? But he's, one of the things he said is that, he's kind of a, best player available, unless it's like a, if it's close. I mean, he's going to take the best player available, but I mean, sometimes you say you might have to go for that need, but he didn't give any indication, because I asked him, one of the things I asked him about was like, what did he think this roster needed? And I think I asked him like in a 2-part question. He never really, so he didn't really answer that part. So I don't know what holes he thinks this roster has, but so yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that would be my guy, but I don't think he can go wrong. I think there's this team has, a lot of areas they can fill some needs to it. So.
Nah, hold on. Before you continue, I just want to follow up off that. So is he making the last decision on this first pick, or is he allowing Bryson and, is there a triumvirate to make this decision? Like who is making the final decision on this?
I didn't ask who's making the final decision. I mean, he did say Bryson was going to continue his role. But just talking to him about Troy Weaver, I mean, he was really and this wasn't about who was doing that, but I just kind of asked him, like, what was it about Troy? And he really talked about Troy's ability to find talent. He really think it was pretty obvious to me that he has a lot of respect for Troy's ability to find talent. So I don't know who makes the final call, but I do think that Troy's a guy that he really trusts. It was pretty, to me, that was pretty evident. So take for that, take that for what it's worth. I don't know.
It's kind of concerning.
Anyway, that was his first hire, so it makes a lot of sense. Rob, man, we appreciate you again. Great work today. Breaking news. Tell the people where they can find you, right?
I'm on Twitter. I'm Rod Walker Nola, and my articles is on NOLA.com.
Yeah, y'all be sure to read that. Again, Rod broke the Pelicans internet today because we didn't know what was going on, man. So it was, at least now we can all kind of move forward with some clarity. You never know how, Joe old school, he probably got an ace up his sleeve somewhere.
Yeah, I didn't get to talk to him about some of the other players on the roster, like, and he wouldn't have, he was not going to give me any secrets.
Right.
What the plans are anyway, but I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they, they're going to make some moves, I would imagine.
Hey, it's gonna be interesting. Well, you got about 2 weeks until the draft, something along those lines. So we shall see. But Rob, thank you again, brother. We appreciate you joining us.
Hey, did y'all do y'all's finals picks? Did I miss them, or that's later on? That's tomorrow.
Well, I'm going with Indy, man. I'm rooting for the underdog. I'm going with Indy.
I got him in 7.
Indy in 7.
Indy in 7. Okay.
7.
Ross.
Yeah, I got OKC in like 4 or 5.
Damn. Lito.
Chet Holmgren in 6.
Rob, who you got?
I'm OKC in 5, man.
Oh, dang.
Got gentleman sweep written all over it.
Oh, man.
Listen, I just think
I hope Indy wins, but realistically,
it's really like a great matchup. You got a really good
it'll be fun.
team and a really good offensive team. Like,
it's good hoop.
You just hope and pray that Indy's offense can stay like a little bit higher than OKC's defense at times. So,
Man.
Who you got, Rob?
He said OKC.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's gonna be tough. But we appreciate you, brother.
Right.
We'll
Appreciate
you
y'all.
well. Y'all make sure y'all read Rod, man. Breaking news. Right. But yeah, man. Appreciate Rod again for joining us. We got a few more clips to get through. I will say this. Shout out to Justin Davis.
Wait, Chad. What the likes at, bro? Cause
can someone give us a like update?
It ain't enough, whatever it is.
Someone give us a like update. Shout out to Corey Slidell. Got some fine women too, boy. Corey.
Well, what? I always said like Slidell was just like the East adjacent, right? Just all those women that was bad. Just
I say Slidell. Slidell kind of Mississippi-ish to me.
Nah.
What you mean when you say that? What you mean?
It's just fucking fall. It's just look. You go over that fucking bridge late at 10 o'clock at night. It's pitch black. First of all, it's scary. It's like the Titanic.
Dark bridge.
Just
we
stay
got
out
79.
Just stay out the scuttlebutt.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a blanket statement, but this is just my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Is you're getting a different type of white woman in Slidell.
Beer or wine?
Little mixture.
Maybe both. Yeah, but that's the problem. Is probably both.
Little mixture.
Yeah, that's a problem. It ain't always a problem. There's some good-looking women, but they just you might be dealing with a slightly.
Hey, you know what's crazy? The difference between Slidell, like a woman in Slidell and Mandeville is it's crazy.
It's not a day.
Mandeville, Covington, and it's just crazy the difference between the two.
Shit, Mandeville
could get your tires slit in one spot.
Yeah.
You just never know.
And you might run into the girl that her daddy owns the dealership. So
yeah,
some spots her dad is a state trooper.
Yeah, some spots you gotta leave. You gotta leave before the sun goes down. So to digress a little bit to the Pelicans. One point I think Jesse Davis made that was an excellent point was that and Rod made this as well. It's just you have to give a person responsibility to see if they fail. Again, to me, you really ain't got nothing to lose at this juncture. You're not going to trade for Laplace fall too. God damn. But I'd rather go to Slidell than Laplace.
I'd rather go to Hammond than
I'd rather go to Hammond than either. But
that might be a poll question, Justin. We have to.
Yeah, we have to make a.
If you had to go to one, where would you rather?
Well, because I look at it. Because I look at it as like, all right, it's Drew Holiday's team, it's Brandon's team, then it's Herb's team, then it's DeJounte's team. And now it's like, I don't even know if it's going to be Zion's team this year, but it's finally Zion's team. And it's like, in my opinion, whenever he was like the unquestioned quote unquote leader on the court, i.e. if Brandon's not available at that time, I feel like he's rose to the occasion on the court. But that's been the issue. You never really on the court like that. So it's few and far in between. Next clip. Next clip.
I just got a problem with that. I ain't gonna lie. I just got
him never being on the court or not seizing the mantle.
No, yeah, not seizing. Because like my thing is like, if you're the best player, like just be the best player. Like I don't have to tell, Chad's gonna play your game. I don't have to say, Chaz, run your show the way you would run your show, even if you hosting right for Justin. Like I don't have to tell you to be yourself. Like bro, you gonna be who you are.
No, but see, that's why I always say, bro, again, it's like just knowing who you're dealing with. Like with dude, some people just personally, I don't think he's like this quote unquote alpha mentality. I think he kind of a get in where you fit in type of guy. And judging by the women he's been with, he's certainly a get in where you fit in kind of guy. But that being said, I'm gonna go ahead to this clip. This clip sounds like it was recorded with a potato. So let's check it out.
I'm just gonna start with the most obvious question here.
Sure.
I don't know what you can say on the most recent development with the Zion situation, but what can you say about it?
A couple of things I can say. One is that anytime something like this happens, it's incumbent upon the organization to take it serious and not be dismissive of it, and so I won't do that. The second thing I'll say is That's all I can say. Is that at that point, you know, you really can't say anything else. You know.
As far as your relationship with him, are you committed to him? He was obviously at the lottery with you. Your conversations with him now that you've been on the job for 6 weeks, where does your relationship with him stand?
We've had quite a few conversations. We've spent time together. We actually watched a couple of playoff games together. He came over to my hotel and hung out with me, and we watched games together and talked about just the game and playoffs and the intensity that teams are playing with. I feel like it's off to a really, really good relationship with Zion. We're going to go forward with him. We're going to continue to go forward with him as the face of the franchise.
All right, we about to run these because there's a couple of them, so bear with us. Sorry about the audio. Man, what y'all step y'all game up? Fuck. Yeah, what the fuck?
When the team has been healthy, the team has played well.
This is in reference to Bill Green. This is in reference to Bill Green. We'll address him now. And this is Joe Dumars' comment on the infamous Bill.
When the team has been healthy, the team has played well. It's been a formidable team. And so you don't want to just judge a coach on when the team was hurt. You want to look at the full body of work. And so I've looked at the Pelicans when they were healthy, and they were competitive, and I think they made the play-in and made the playoffs one year, I think. And so
you got $90 million worth of motherfuckers in the store. You said, I think they made the play-in. I'm not sure. What the fuck?
So he watched the Pelicans in 4 years.
Oh my God.
I was giving him the benefit of the doubt earlier about, you know, this. He lied there. He's making stuff up. Boy, you ain't watched no games.
You ain't watched a single game.
No.
See, I think they made the play-in.
You looked at like Basketball Reference 5 minutes before that interview, and so it's like,
oh,
that's bad, dog.
But see, to me, that's why I kind of feel like he looking at Willie kind of like, look, partner, you my name on this. You got about to go 25 games. But this is the next clip.
We're going to continue to go forward with him as the face of the franchise. But even when I said that to him, Fletcher, I said to him, we're going to do this, but there's responsibility and accountability that comes with this. And I know what that looks like. And I was fortunate enough to live it on the court, and I was fortunate enough to run it in another franchise. And I know exactly what that looks like and what that entails. And so those are the conversations that I've had with him. And I'm not guessing, Zion, about this. I'm not hoping that this is the right thing to do. This is how it is. This is how it's done. This is how it's done at the highest level. And so our conversations have been extremely direct and honest, and not mincing any words, but also saying we're committed to going forward with you.
Do you think because you just mentioned, you've lived it, you played with Dennis Rodman, you traded for Rasheed Wallace.
Yes, of course.
Can you use those examples and say, having patience in understanding there are unique circumstances and we want to get the best out of you?
Absolutely, and it's ironic that you say that, because those are two of the examples I used. I also threw Bill Laimbeer in there too. So, but I've said to him that, like, look, you don't have to be a choir boy to be successful in this league. You can be who you want to be, but there's a level of professionalism that you have to bring, that you cannot, that's non-negotiable. And the thing I told him about guys like Rodman and guys like Rasheed is that no matter what they were doing, man, when they got to that court, it was all business. I mean, the ultimate professionals on that court. And so I've said to him, like, look, I'm not here to turn you into something that you're not, but I am the guy that will hold you accountable. I am the guy that will speak honestly to you and not mince words and say what needs to be said. So he's been great. It's been like great conversations, and he hears me. He knows, kind of where I'm coming from.
Stop the tape. Stop the tape. Stop the tape. Stop the tape. one look at the America Cups on that brother's feet, and I know, I am confident he will lead us to what you got, Bob?
You know who else wears America Cups?
Morris Bart.
Oh,
He does. He does. But you know who else?
Who that?
Willard Green.
Oh, take it back. I take it back. Are we sure they're on the felines? Are we sure they're on the felines?
I'm sure. I look.
Yeah, Michigan people. Now, one thing I will say about people from Michigan, they can dress. Cause look, yeah, Joe, he from Louisiana, but Joe from Michigan. He sure got a lot of Michigan partners. So I say that.
Damn.
But they put that shit on. Shout out to the Pradas. To the devil wears Pradas. Amen.
Residuals, that's nasty. That's
I thought Willie be wearing them L Jordans. They got the Mexican Jordans they be selling at the swap meet. They be like, well, boy, where they make this color? Like, they didn't. So one thing I will say is that, again, I feel like Joe really echoed the sentiments that kind of how I feel. It's like, you can't fuck up off the court and not show up on the court. See, if you show up on the court, you being late, you wilding like Dennis Rodman. Now, I don't think Zion and Dennis Rodman be at the same clubs, but shout out to Dennis Rodman. Well, I don't know. Now I'm gonna say this: Detroit Rodman is different than San Antonio Bulls Rodman. So that's another thing. But Joe been around long enough; he's seen it all. But I think even you look at a guy like Jordan and his off the court things, right? It's like, bro, you gotta show up to work, and I think that's the point Joe made. What do you guys feel? We got one more clip after that.
Yeah, I mean he.
Oh, my bad.
He stood on that point of. I think one of the most important things is, like, he didn't necessarily say this, but he said it in a roundabout way of, like, yo, if that's who you are, whoever you are, be who you are. There's room in the league, there's room in the team for you to be who you are. I played with Dennis Rodman, I played with Lambeer, I played with these guys. Isaiah Thomas was an asshole. So he played with guys who were genuinely themselves. And it's hard to, let alone play basketball, it's hard to live life just trying to be someone else. And I think Zion has been put into this box of trying to fit an image that maybe his mama or the NBA or whoever, I'm just throwing shit out there, have for him. And I think he got caught up in, like, hey, bro, look, if that's what you want to do, aside from the allegations, but if that's what you want to do, as far as, like, do your thing, bro. Like, just be straight up, be honest, and, like, be a consenting adult with it. I totally do believe Joe when he says that. Like, I think he says when he supports him, like, he supports him. Like, that's fine. Like, hey, everybody got a cousin, an uncle, a dad who's a fuck up. I'm not saying Zion exactly is a fuck up, but he's been fucking up.
Ross?
I tend to believe Joe on when the clips I've seen and the stuff he said around his communication with Zion. I find that, like, I just find it to be believable. But I'm going back to the question I asked Rod earlier, and, as I'm watching some of this stuff for the first time and trying to just take away things from. I feel like, based on the two sets of quotes I've heard so far, Willie Green's leash is short. I think it's a lot shorter than Zion's. I can't recall a time that I've heard anyone in the franchise refer to Zion as the face of the franchise. Other than until Joe Dumars did it in that clip. I can't recall a time where someone sort of said it that way.
Also, if you, like, this is just, and again, I could be grasping at straws, but it's like, it isn't just great endorsement of Willie Green that I'm like, oh, he's a brilliant mind, great coach. Like, it's all like, well, you know, I haven't talked to him yet, or I'm gonna ask him now. And like, to me, it just seems so. Look, partner, you know, you're only here because I got it.
I think Joe's saying that, like, I mean, if they told him, and look, you know, maybe they said you've got to give Willie a chance.
Yeah, at least a chance.
And maybe that's what he's in. Like, look, that's clearly what he's doing.
And maybe that's fair.
Yeah, and look, it probably is fair. This team been winning a title this year. Like, that's cool. You want to, go see what the first 25 games look like or whatever. But I don't want to. There was so much pessimism and uncertainty in his voice and in his face when he said I want to just judge a guy when players are hurt. You got to judge them when everybody's healthy. And when they were healthy, this team was, and you could there was a moment in there where you thought he was going to say good. And he said,
I think they made the play in.
No, he said when they were totally healthy, and there was a little moment where I thought he was going to say they were good, and he didn't. He said they were competitive. They played competitively. That's what I'm saying. There was no like ringing endorsement of like, we think it's always this squishy stuff like this. Like, that sounds like.
We get your point. We get your point. Yeah. Let's next clip.
As far as head coach Willie Green, there were a lot of conversations. Will he remain? I know he probably grew up watching you play. How have your conversations been with him, and where do you stand with him, and how do you feel about Willie?
Same almost as I am, and that is just about communicating, about accountability, and really expectations. So the team was decimated with injuries last year. I think it would be unfair to strictly judge Willie on last season. When the team has been healthy, been competitive. And so for me, I looked at that, talked to a lot of people, talked to Willie, and I thought to myself, okay, you owe it to Willie to give him a chance to have a healthy team and to see if we can meet these expectations and all. So for me, I just thought it would be unfair to judge him strictly on a season where the team was decimated, and I just didn't want to do that.
Boy, that was bad. What do y'all think? Ross, we're gonna start with you because you just spoke on that, and you pretty much said what you said verbatim. So what did you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, he just doubled down on the question that it was asked earlier, and I feel like he gave the exact same answer. I mean, the interesting because I pay attention to stuff like this. Like at the beginning when he asked you a question about Willie Green, and you don't say, well, it's the exact same situation as Zion. We're trying to. He says, well, it's somewhat like the Zion situation, and then he goes into these other things like, well, the Zion situation, you called him the face of the franchise. And made it seem like we're going to work. I was honest with him. We're going to work this out. And then you were asked a very similar question about Willie Green, and you said, "Well, it's sort of the same, except I went back and looked and said, well, I have to give him a chance. It's like it's just a totally different tone.
Doing him a favor.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. They told me I had to give him a chance. That's really what it felt like he said.
All right, we got 220 people in. I see 107 likes. We're gonna play a short ad. By the end of this ad, we need 150 likes. We need 150 likes. We got a membership show right after this. When we come back, we're gonna hear from Lito and Five and their thoughts on Joe Dumars' comments. We're gonna get to the chats and the super chats. We need 150 likes when we come back, y'all. Let's hear from Jarrell.
Charles is my name. Jarrell Curl is my fame. You could be elite to know. I'm your hairdresser who really knows. You're gonna have a curl.
Yeah, I actually looked that up. This summer, I've been taking a lot of trips. I went to St. Louis. That building had burned down, and they got a major insurance settlement. So shout out to Jarrell, man, doing good business. So we gonna hear from Lito. What's your thoughts on Joe Dumars? Did he sound confident in Willie Green? In your opinion?
I mean, no. I think
shit. They heard about Jarrell. Y'all heard them sirens?
Yeah, I did.
They on Jarrell. Go ahead. My bad, Jarrell. Shit.
I think he said what he had to say, but I think he said it in a way where you got some interpretation. You definitely can. You can definitely interpret it how you want to. I know from his statements about them being competitive when they're healthy that he didn't really watch him, because when were they healthy? Like, when were they ever healthy? So I think Willie Green is probably gone by game. I don't know, probably mid-season, some shit like that.
You think he makes it that far?
I think so, because I just feel like we've been told all summer or before the summer started how good of a man he is, how great of a person. He got to sit in the Saints war room. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like the politics of it all is gonna have his job extended, until then. But I hope it's pre-All-Star break. I hope it's, shout out to Chan, I hope it's pre-All-Star break. Shit, I hope it's tomorrow. But
man, Five, do you think that firstly, what do you make of Joe's comments? And also, do you think that, I mean, a lot of good things about Trey Murphy's recovery, but do you think that the perceived injuries or the injuries we presume are going to be there heading into the season gives Willie a little bit more bandwidth?
I hope
or
not.
room for error?
Yeah, I hope not. Like, we've seen enough. Hopefully Joe doesn't need a 50-game sample size to realize Willie Green is a bad coach. Like, I truly hope this isn't like the idea behind all this. Based on his comments, I'm with Ross. I think his leash is super short. Like, I think like he didn't even need to watch the games to tell you that Willie Green's a bad coach. This is just them telling him like, hey, let's not make this move right now. Right? Maybe Joe had an idea like, maybe I can get a good coach, like, the ones that are available right now. But maybe he wasn't like super sure that it can happen. Like, he could reel that in. I mean, he has a lot of problems to fix, and the coaching one is a big one. But I think there was bigger ones. Like, he had to make it at least attractive for a good coach to want to come here, rather than just moving on and you still got the same problems that you had. So I think probably from Joe's standpoint, he's probably fixing one problem at a time, fixing the ones that he can fix, and then once he gets Zion situated, move on from Willie, and then find the good successor.
We'll talk about this more on the member show, but as we get to the super chats and the star questions. If he had any type of honest dialogue with Zion, I'm willing to bet American dollars that Zion ain't endorsed that boy. And Willie Green probably ain't endorsed Zion. Yeah. But he ain't say, he could have easily said, just as much as Zion, same situation. He was like, hey, yo, shout out to Steven Moses. Became a new member. We appreciate you, brother. Steven, let me know if I'm saying your name wrong, man.
Send us a DM too, bro, so we could get you some gear, bro. Get you some merch.
Oh yeah, for sure. Shout out to my dog Michael Roby too, man. He recovering right now. Shout out to Mike, man. He said, shout out to Corey. He said, by keeping Willie around, you punted the season before it started. Shout out to Trey Laster too. What up, Trey? What do you guys think about that? We gotta think about what Cole's saying. You punted the season before you started with Bill Green.
I sort of agree, but I don't think that, I don't think anybody is tricking themselves into thinking that they're punting on like a championship contender this year or something. It's like, I don't. That's why I don't know if it's like a punt. It's like a going forward on fourth down or something. Like, it just, There's nothing really to lose or gain.
Yeah. I think you already knew that regardless of who the coach was. It's like the kid taking his ball away from the game. Like, we're not playing anyway. We weren't playing to begin with.
Yeah.
So not Cole, you my dog. Like, nah, Willie ain't the reason. I mean, he a big part of the, idea of not winning right now, but he ain't the main reason.
The roster is the reason you punted next season before it started.
Yeah, I think also I think like what Coach saying, he said now you punting on finishing 6 or higher. Potentially, I do think that a lot of that has to do with the roster and also depending on what moves they make this offseason, right? Because if you manage to be a part of the Giannis deal and you do things like that, you can improve the roster and potentially give yourself even more room for error with a Willie Green, or maybe you never know how much influence he'll have on potentially guys listening to Borrego or what have you. Shout out to Michael McNamara, former guest on the show. He said, need you guys to dive deeper into why it's such a priority to offload DeJounte Murray this summer. I get the idea, but I don't think you have calculated the opportunity cost and what that flexibility gets you. Well, for me, because I feel like I'm the person who's been really beating this drum the loudest. I feel like this is more of a 1-year project. I feel like if you fail this year, it don't really matter. Like generally, if you can move DeJounte I think now that he saw his Achilles, I don't think you'll ever necessarily be able to move him and extract any value from it. For me, you just need. I'm looking to surround the peripheral, quote unquote, of this roster with cheap, hard-working talent. Ironically, I want them to resemble the Pistons of now, right? I want a shooter. I want a bunch of try-hard guys. I want some dudes who may be on their last NBA leg fighting for their career. And I feel like that's very difficult to do with DeJounte Murray kind of, still being on the roster, because I also don't think that even if DeJounte comes back in December at best, God willing, I don't think you see the real DeJounte Murray. If you ever see it again, I don't think you see that guy until next season at the earliest. And man,
like 31, 32.
You say what is his cash?
His age.
Oh no, I think he on like 28, 29.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think on like 29. But that injury, and he's not much of a shooter. He's not super athletic to me neither. So I don't think his game will suffer too much. It's probably just more of the stigma associated with it. I think, man, what's homie used to play for Wes Matthews. I think Wes Matthews is the only person to really come back from Achilles injury fast. And I'm not sure how his career went after that. Shout out to Zeke in the building with that 2-piece. He said, "What's jam?" He talking to Justin. Mrs. Hunter said the last time y'all had a guest on, y'all kept him. Hey, that's how we move around here sometimes. And that's it. Shout out to JB. He said Willie Green wasn't fired because of the attempted grift sabotage. Short leash. Dumars will give him to All-Star break. I don't think that might be too long. Pause. It's crazy. I said that. Shout out to Sam. Oh man, Sam. Oh man, Sam breaking brick bread. Corey, they're giving away so many memberships. I gotta get another person just to count them.
We're so proud of you, sugar.
Oh, Grandma.
Say, could you lay 1,000 on Grandma, Gray?
Come on now, Grandma just gave you $1,000 what, 2 days ago?
Well, what the fuck is the matter with you? I had to get my hair fixed and my nails. Shit, you want me to style, don't you? Shit. What the fuck? Well, thank you, baby.
What the fuck is the matter with you? Damn, Corey. Just sign up on your own. That's crazy.
Can I ask a question? In that clip, which we've now seen, a bunch. What does Grandma actually need the 1,000? Like the 1,000 for? Is she a gambler or something? Like she playing the penny slots.
What's funny is she actually, the PG way of me saying it is she be giving money to male escorts. Yeah, that's the PG way of me saying it. So she gave a little money to a male escort. It's $2 at a time on the movie, so it adds up. But so
she's a bad boy.
Why did I ask?
Yeah, but damn, that's crazy. Boy, they had at least 150 memberships given away, and Corey can't get one. That's crazy. That's fucked up. Yo, holler at me, Corey. I'm gonna see if I can find a way to do it. Just hit me up, DM me. All right, yo, we're gonna go ahead and all the members, we're gonna move over. We're gonna launch the membership show. It's gonna be a quick show. We're just gonna talk about some coaching things, some things we kind of been hearing behind the scenes, some things y'all haven't heard before. We're gonna feed the streets. We appreciate everyone joining the stream. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, go read the article by Ryan Walker, and watch all the clips by Fletcher Mackel and WDSU is very revealing, and you make your own interpretation. We out, peace.